Ever wondered how professionals get high-end editing? In this video, I'll be breaking it all down, from Capture One to Photoshop. We will cover the different processes they take in achieving natural and professional edits. I'll be walking you through frequency separation, dodge and bond, skin correction, color grading, and all of it, so as to ensure you get the professional edits you are looking for. So if you are a beginner or you are hoping to refine your skills, you are in the right place. Let's get started. So for this video, we'll be making use of this particular image. So I'll be showing you the different steps or the different adjustments I'll make in Capture One before taking it down to Photoshop. So the first thing I'm going to do is to crop this image. And then I click enter. So the next thing I'm going to do is to try to bring in my blacks by dragging the levels, this part of the levels, by dragging it in. Then I can push my whites in a little bit, just a little bit. So if you really want to understand how some of these adjustment tools in Capture One works, you can check my previous video where I talked about, or where I explained the different tools in Capture One. So the next thing I would want to do is to bring down my highlights. Just bring it down slightly. I would want to brighten the image. It looks a little bit dark to me, so I would want to push the brightness up slightly. And then I think I would want to work on my white balance. I can decide to push it more to cool the image down a bit. I think this works for me. Yes, this works for me. And then I might just want to add a little bit of green to the tints. Okay, that's too much. I think I would leave it here. So this is the before and then the after. Before and after. So I can take down the brightness slightly. And then I can push my shadows up a bit just to give a little bit of, show a little bit of details. So we have the before and the after. So something else I want to do is to work on the hand. The colors of the hand looks slightly different from the other parts of the body. So I can simply create a folder, new empty adjustments layer rather. Press B on my keyboard to activate the brush tool and M for max so I can see my selection. So I can simply just select the hand and then come over to this point and right click and say fill marks, and it's going to fill it for me. So the next thing I'm going to do is to refine the marks so the edges look defined. So once I've done that, I can take out my marks by pressing M on my keyboard. So looking at the hand, it's a bit warmer than the other parts of the body. So I can come to my white balance and bring the Kelvin. I can just cool it down a bit, add a little bit of brightness to it, and then a little bit of magenta. So we have the before and the after. So if you look closely, you'll see that we'll try to bring the hand close to the other part of the image. So I can move this picture directly to Photoshop like this. It looks good. So but I would want to go a step further. This part of the image, part of the hand looks darker than this opposite direction. So I can try to fix that up. So right click, new empty adjustment layer, and then I'm going to make my selection. So I'm still going to come here, right click, save fill marks. So you should always ensure that all the edges are connected, properly connected. If not, when you say fill marks, it is not going to fill. So right click and say fill marks. Then I'm still going to refine so the edges are blended in properly. So once I've done this, I can take out the marks and then brighten up this part slightly. So I can decide to take down the saturation a bit. I'm trying to make sure it is looking just like the opposite direction. So we have the before and the after, before and after. So I can take down this brightness slightly. So we have the before and after. So something else I would love to do is to match the color of the jewelry with that of the eyelid. So in order to do that, I would simply come and create a new empty adjustment layer. So I'm going to select the jewelry, brush, and then M for max. So I'm simply going to make my selection of the jewelry. I can even decide to add the earrings to it. So I'll come to this place, right click and say fill marks, and then right click again and say refine marks, and click enter on my keyboard. So we have the selection already. So in order to match the colors, I'm simply going to come down to color balance. So in order to match the colors, I'll simply come down to my color editor, come over to the skin tone, select the picker tool, and then I'm going to select this color of the eyelid. So the next thing I'm going to do is come down to uniformity. So what I'm going to do is try to ensure the jewelry matches the color of the area I selected. So I'm just going to move it this way, increase the saturation, and then reduce the brightness. So we have before and after, before and after, after. So as you can see, the color of the jewelry is looking very similar to that of the eyelid. So we have before for the general image and then after. So these are the different layers I created. I can decide to come to the background layer and then just still add a little bit of blacks to it. And this works for me. I can add a little bit of saturation just slightly to pop the colors. So now I'm ready to move the picture down to Photoshop. All I'm going to do is to right click and then click edit with. I have my settings sorted out and then I'm going to click edit variants, and the picture is going to move down to Photoshop so we can do every other thing that is needed. So the image has opened in Photoshop. So the first thing I'm going to do is to try to crop out some parts that I will not be needing in the image, or to try to crop the image so it's centralized. So I am going to just crop this part in and then click enter on my keyboard. After that, the next thing I'm going to do is to try to take out this car by using the patch tool. So I believe most of us know how the patch tool works. You just circle around the area you don't want and then drag to a good part of the image that you want to use to replace it or to fix it. So I'm going to take my spot healing brush to fix these little parts. So there are different tools at your disposal that you can use to take out blemishes. So once I'm done taking out this card, the next thing I'm going to do is to duplicate my background layer. So I'll do that by pressing Ctrl J on my keyboard, or Command J if you're using Mac. So after this, I'm going to go into frequency separation. So frequency separation is a retouching technique that allows you to separate the image into two layers. You have the texture layer and the skin tone layer, or the color layer. So this allows you to work on the images, to mix the colors while still retaining texture without having to destroy the textures. Everything still looks intact and nice. So what I'm going to do now is to click on frequency separation action under the Beauty Retouch Academy. So once you click on it via Gaussian blur, it's going to ask you to pick a Gaussian blur radius. So for this radius, the way it actually works is you have to select a number, and how you pick the numbers is based on what you want to achieve or what you want to get from the image. If you want to retain more textures, as much textures as possible, you use a high radius or use a high Gaussian blur value. So you can use numbers like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 upwards. Those are high numbers, and when you use those high numbers, it allows you to retain textures. But when you use a low number, 2, 3, 4, they are low numbers. They don't retain as much textures as the high numbers would. So how it actually works is when you're using a low number, you are giving more information to the skin tone. You are giving more information to the colors. But when you use a high number, you are giving more information to the textures. When I say you are giving more information, it means you are retaining more textures when you use a high number. But when you use a low number, you are giving preference to the skin tone. So for images like this, I would use a high number, because for headshots, you are required to also use high numbers because you want to get as much textures as you want. So you consider several things. Is the picture headshots? Is it a close-up picture? Is it a full picture? Are you trying to get more textures from the image? So all of these things are things you consider. There are some images that might be headshots, but the person's skin is not looking nice. The skin pores are maybe too much or really looking bad. You might not want to retain much textures. So when you want to do that, instead of using a high number, you can decide to use a relatively low number for that, just because the texture, the skin pores are bad. But on a normal day, or the normal way it's supposed to work, is for headshots, you are supposed to use a high radius. So for this image, I can go as far as using 10. So you just have to press the number on your keyboard. So I can press 10 on my keyboard and press enter. So what is going to happen is it's going to separate, like I said, frequency separation is separating the image into two different layers. So as you can see, it has the low frequency colors and tunes, and then it has the high frequency texture. Then for this high frequency texture, there's an extra copy, which is this. So this copy is just in case you make mistake. Instead of having to delete the entire via Gaussian blur folder, you can just delete this copy and then continue with your editing. So there is the correcting tunes, which is an empty layer. This is where you do the mixing of the colors, where you do your brushing. This is where you do your brushing. And then this high frequency texture copy, that's where you work on your textures. You work on the little skin pores, the skin blemishes. So what I am going to do now is to actually brush the skin using my mixer brush. So I am going to come over to my tools and select mixer brush. So on the shortcut for it is B. So there's the normal brush and then there's the mixer brush. So ensure you are using the mixer brush. And for the mixer brush, it has its own settings that you are supposed to work with, or there are settings I work with. So these settings are 30 for the wets, 30 for the load, mix 20, flow 20, 10. And then ensure you tick this box, sample all layers. Also, something you should take note of is the fact that you have to leave this at custom. Then you have to make sure this second box is what is selected, and then this first one is not selected. And ensure you leave this at empty. You leave it at empty. So these are the settings. Once you have the settings, you don't need to keep doing it every time you want to edit. Just ensure you do not touch them. So, but just in case, you can always have these settings. You can have them written down somewhere, so you can always make adjustments if they change. So for me, my mixer brush, I always like to leave it at soft round pressure opacity. So there are different types of brushes. You can use soft round, you can use soft round pressure, but I prefer using soft round pressure opacity. Reason being that I want to be the one applying the pressure myself. So I have to, using a Wacom tablet, it is pressure sensitive. So I have to apply more pressure where I want the brushing to take more effects. So I'm just in control of how much pressure each brush stroke applies on my image. So you can try different ones and see the one that works for you. But for me, I use soft round pressure opacity. So once I have all these settings sorted out and I have all my layers here, in order to brush, what I'm going to do is come to the correcting tunes, and then I have to put off this high frequency texture. Once I do that, the image is going to get blurry. So it means I am ready to actually work on it. So I take my mixer brush tool, and then I'm going to brush across the image. So I'm going to show you how you should brush. I'm going to pick my normal brush, set the color to, let me use blue, and then show you. So for brushing, when you're doing your frequency separation using your mixer brush, one of the things you should know is you need to brush according to the size, or according to the size of where you are working on. For example, there's highlights here. I need to increase my brush size to match these highlights and then work on it. So the reason being that when you're doing frequency separation, you're actually mixing colors. So if you have a brush size that is bigger than where you want to work on, for example, I want to work on this forehead and I have my brush size looking this way, it is going to end up mixing these black colors over here into these other parts. So it's going to mess up how the colors look or how the image actually looks. So you should ensure that when you are brushing, your brush size matches the area you are trying to mix, the area you are trying to fix. And something else you should also consider when brushing is ensure you are not brushing shadows into highlights. So ensure you're not dragging shadows from this point to this point. Just brush them separately. Brush the shadow separately, brush the highlight separately. All you need to do is make sure the transition between the shadows and the highlights are well blended. So you just brush the connecting points where they are joining. Just try to blend it in properly. So that's something else you should consider. So the first one, ensure your brush size matches the area you are trying to mix. Ensure you are not brushing shadows into highlights, and ensure you are brushing according to the shape of the face, according to how the face originally is. So at the end of the day, you will not end up destroying the shape of the person's face because you are trying to work on it, because you are trying to mix colors. So how does that work? This is the shape of the face. The nose is pointed. So when I am brushing, I have to brush this way. I have to brush this way. When I am brushing this part, I also have to brush this way. So when it comes to this, I have to respect how this forehead looks. I have to brush this way. And then I also have to brush this way. So I just keep brushing according to the shape of the face, respecting how the face looks. I'm not just going to brush anyhow. I should make sure, I would make sure I respect the shape of the face while brushing, so as not to make the face look, the image look flattened out or destroy how the person actually looks. So I'm going to delete this and then bring back an empty layer, go back to my mixer brush, and then I am going to properly brush. Like I said, put off this high frequency texture. The image gets a bit blurry, and then I would simply work on the images. So for this, I'm going to brush this way. So while you are brushing, you should always try to look at the before and after to ensure you are not ruining the image. As you can see, the highlights reduced a bit, but the texture is still there. So that's what frequency separation is all about. It ensures that while you are mixing the colors, working on the image, you are not destroying the textures. So why you need to ensure you pick a right radius is so that you can retain as much texture as possible. So we still have the texture in the image looking this way. That's because we use the high number we picked a high radius. But if we had picked a low number, say 2, you'll see that it would take out, or it will not be able to retain as much texture as this 10 radius we picked has done. So I'm simply going to quickly brush on the entire part of the image. So like I said, ensure you are brushing according to the shape of the face. You're respecting the highlights and the shadows. And then you're not just clicking on one part of the image and then dragging it across the entire image. No, you brush, you take out your hand, move to the next place, you brush, you move to the next place. So I'm not just clicking on the points and then dragging it across the entire image. So you can use it to brush every part, even the lips. If you want to fix the lips, you can also use this to do that. So always ensure you are saving while you are editing, just in case you are not just in case something happens. So ensure you press Ctrl S to save while you're working on your image. So it might not be something you get at the very first attempt. You have to keep working on different images. With that, you would master how it actually works, and then you can be faster with it and do it more um, effectively. So I'm still going to brush this part of her skin. I'm going to brush it respecting how this part looks, respecting the shape. I'm not going to just flatten it out. When you do that, it just changes how the person looks. So we have the before and the after. Let me zoom out slightly. We have the before and the after. So you can still decide to work on this area just a little bit more. You can even decide to brush this part of the hair just to smoothen them out. So we have the before and the after. So once you've brushed the entire image to your satisfaction, just remember when doing retouching, less is more. So you don't have to you don't have to make the retouching or the mixing drastic. Just do something little, and then when you do other part of the editing, they will all add up to make the image come out really nice. So I think I am okay with how it looks. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take out these little blemishes, which are the texture. So in order to do that, I will come to my high frequency texture copy, then take whichever tool I want to use for it. I'll be using the clone stamp tool. So the shortcut for it is S on the keyboard. And I'm going to ensure opacity at 100, flow at 100. And for this, how it's or the best way to go about it is ensure the size of your clone stamp matches with the blemish that you are trying to take out. So you shouldn't have a little or tiny blemish like this and you're having a big brush to take it out. No. So how clone stamp tool works, you have to sample somewhere that is good and then brush across where you want to fix, and ensure you are picking somewhere that is close, that has similar characteristics with where you want to fix. So I'm not going to, for example, I'm not going to come over here to pick and then use it to clean this part. It's not going to look nice. So I would ensure whichever area I'm picking is very close to where I want to fix, and then I just take it out. So I'll carefully go around the image to look for blemishes that I need to take out, and then I take them out. So there's actually no rush in this. It's something you're supposed to take your time to properly do, because when you properly do it, it would enhance or help with final outcome of the image. But you don't always, or you don't necessarily have to zoom in this much. You don't have to zoom in this much. So in cases where you're trying to take out a blemish and it's not going out, it simply means the ratio, the radius, Gaussian blur radius you picked is very small. It's a low number. Remember what we said earlier, that when you pick low numbers, it gives more information to the skin tone, and when you pick high numbers, it gives more information to the texture. So if you find yourself in situations like that, all you simply have to do is to take out or delete the frequency separation and pick a high radius, so you'll be able to work on it. So I can still come, if I notice there are areas I didn't brush properly, I can still come back to my correcting tunes and then still brush them in order to fix it. So we have the before and the after. Before and after. You see how far we've come, and the fact that we still have the details intact. We've not changed the shape of the face. We still have the image looking like the subject, how she originally looks. So once I'm done with my frequency separation, the next thing I'm going to do is my dodge and burn. So dodge and burn is a retouching technique. It is used to correct the light variations in an image. So it involves you darkening places that are light and then lightening places that are very dark. So all I'm going to do now is to run an action, the dodge and burn action. So if you come to beauty retouch panel, you click on the DB curves. So it is just going to open these different layers. So I'm going to delete this visual aid, and then we have just the dodge and burn. So this dodge, and then this is burn. So for the dodge, dodge simply means lightening, to brighten, then burn means to darken. So all the dodge does is to brighten places, and then what the burn does is to darken places. So for dodge and burn, they have two dodge and burn. There's the micro dodge and burn, and there's the global dodge and burn. So we're going to be doing both, and then I'm going to be showing you how they work, when to use them, and how to go about using it. So this first one we are going to do, I'm going to this first one is going to be the micro dodge and burn. So I'm going to rename it so that for easy identification, micro dodge and burn. So I'm going to open this. We have the dodge and then we have the burn. So in order for me to see the variations, when we talk about variations, we mean places like this this part looking light or looking a bit brighter than the other areas. So when the image is not even, the lighting is not even, some places are dark, some places are light, they are just different variations. So in order to see them perfectly well, it is good you turn the image to black and white. You see variations, or you see variations better in black and white. So in order to do that, remember the what I'm going to do in order to see the variations perfectly is going to open my black and white adjustments. So I'm going to darken it a bit more, take down my reds, and then take down my yellow. So this allows me see the variations perfectly. So I can easily see these variations over here, over here, over here, here, here. I can see them. They are very distinct now. So compared to when it was like this. So but over time, when you keep using this technique, you get used to it and you can easily see it even when it's not on black and white. But as a beginner, it's good you always have it in black and white so you can see the variations perfectly. So I'll come to my micro dodge and bond. So like I said, for the micro dodge and bond, what you are doing is you are correcting the little tiny variations. You are fixing these little variations. So for this, areas that are extremely bright, like this part, we are going to bond them. We are going to darken it. Then areas that are extremely dark, we are going to dodge it, which is to brighten it. So to do that, we pick our normal brush to opacity to 100, and then we take our flow to 2. Take our flow to 2. So what I am going to do now is to start working on the different variations in the image. So this part of the image, there's this line, this bright line. I am going to try to darken it. So it just looks, or it just helps to balance this area. So taking my brush tool, and I'm going to still always reduce the size of the brush to match the area I want to fix. So I'm going to just brush, I'm going to paint on it. Just going to paint on it. Most times it is advisable to zoom out while doing it so you can easily see what you are doing. So, okay, let me zoom in so you can see. So we have the before and then we have the after. So you can see the difference just those little strokes has made to the image. So that's how you'd have to go through the entire image, and then all you have to do is ensure you are darkening the areas that are extremely bright or they are bright, and then you're brightening the areas that are dark. So in as much as you want to do this, you want to correct these variations. It doesn't mean any area that you see that is dark, you just extremely have to brighten it. Some areas are naturally are just that way, or they are meant to be that way, so you can leave those areas. So it doesn't mean you have to just brighten or darken every area you feel it is dark. So when you keep doing or using these techniques, you'll begin to know the areas that really need your adjustments, or that really need you to apply this technique. So that's how you go through the entire image. So we can even take out this black and whites and then see, and zoom in, see how it looks before and after, before and after. So push it back on, take this. So one way to actually know the area to dodge or the area to burn is you can just simply look at the surrounding. Is everywhere looking dark, or is it meant to be dark? So if you take for example now, for example, as we can see, this place is looking bright, but it is not extreme. And then there's supposed to be this highlight from the makeup. So I'm not supposed to extremely take my burn and just burn these parts completely out because I want to use the dodge and burn technique. No, it is only in situations where it is looking extremely bright, the highlight is too much, I can just use it to bring it down. can just use it to bring it down. And if you look at this place, there's this tiny line, dark line here. So I can just, it's looking darker than the other parts of the image. So I can just use the dodge to simply reduce it or take it out. So we have before and after. So also ensure when you are brushing, you should also try to brush according to the shape or the line of the variation. Follow the line. You should not just brush it zigzag or anyhow. So if you have a straight line causing the variation, when you are using your dodge or your bone, you should brush it in accordance or in line with how that place looks. So sorry, let me put this on back so I can see it. So I can come to this point. This place looks a bit brighter than the other areas. So I am just simply going to burn it. So this is it actually takes a whole lot of time to do, and but when you actually do it properly, the effects might look tiny, but when you do it properly or when you take your time to do it, you would see the difference it will make. So these variations, you might not be able to fix them while you are doing frequency separation. So that's why I said when you're doing frequency separation, you don't have to completely do everything or just try to get everything perfect. Anyone you miss or anything you're not able to fix, you can actually fix them using dodge and burn. So from time to time, check your before and after and ensure you're doing the right thing. Take this. So it's not limited to just the face. There are areas, other parts of the body that needs it. You can also use it to fix them. So this part looks a little bit darker than the other area. You can just simply fix it. It can also be used to fix the hair. So you can also use it to darken hair slightly. If you feel this pattern is too much, you can just burn it down. So we have the before and the after. Let me zoom in. Take note of this region. So we have the before and the after. So those little line variations before after, we've been able to take them out, we've been able to fix it. So that's for the micro dodge and burn. So I can delete this black and whites because like I said earlier, I just put it out there so I can see the variations well. So the next thing after this, okay, something else you should do is you can feather it, feather the dodge and feather the burn. So the way you can do it, double click on this rectangular box, it brings out this feather and then just feather it a bit, come down to the burn so and do the same. And then when you see or if you feel the dodge and burn, the intensity or the effect is too much, you can always reduce the opacity if you want. So once you are done with micro dodge and burn, the next is the global dodge and burn. So this dodge and burn is actually used to bring the details or the structure of the face back to give the face more depth. So the first one, you're correcting little variations. This one, you're trying to give the face depth. You're trying to bring the structure of the face back, give it a defined shape. So how you do it, you still go to your DB curves, click on it. It opens the DB curves. You can delete the visual aid. You won't be needing it for this. Then we can rename this dodge, global dodge and burn. So this time, what we are going to do, we are trying to bring back the original features of the face. So one way to go about it, you can put off your frequency separation. The reason being that we want to see how the face looks originally without the frequency separation. open your box. You can still decide to put off this micro dodge and burn. We just want the image to look the way it came from capture one. So what we are going to do now, okay, so this is the dodge, this is the burn. We're going to use our brush tool, but this time we are going to increase our flow to 4. So what we are going to do this time is we are going to dodge the places that are originally bright in the image, and then we are going to burn areas that are originally dark or supposed to be dark in the image. For example, there's this highlight on the forehead. So due to frequency separation, the highlights, like I said then, the highlight was reduced a bit. So we can now use this global dodge and burn to bring back that highlight. And when you bring it back, it just helps to define the face more, helps to give it um, depth. So I can just, so the size should match the area just a little bit. And then there's this highlight on the nose. So you just bring it back. There's highlights over here. There's even highlight on the lips. If you want it back, you can just do that. So a little highlights here, a little here. Even on areas of other parts of the body. So any area you've done frequency separation on and you know, oh, you might have lost little highlights, and those highlights are part of the things that define the face or define the image. You can just use it to bring it back. Then for the burn, we burn this area. Also, for every makeup, there are areas that naturally has highlights, and then there are contour areas. So you can use this burn to bring the contour back, then use the dodge to bring back the highlights. So makeup artists, when they are doing their makeup, they always have areas that they add highlights to and they add their contour to. So you can use this because they do all of this to give shape, to give depth to the face. So when you are doing frequency separation, you might end up taking them out. So you do the global dodge and burn to bring them back. So I also like to dodge this part of the face. It just helps to um, make the give it a V shape, just to reduce or slim down the face. Yes, just to slim down the face a bit. So I can still do this. Naturally, this place is supposed to be dark, and then make sure I bring back my highlights, and then once I am done with this, I can put this back on. So we have the before and the after. We have the highlights. If you look at the forehead, you see. Then we have the bone. So it is a bit too much. I can double tap and then feather this too, and then decide to reduce the bone slightly based on my own preference. So we have the before and the after, before and the after. So I can still break this down a bit, bring down the dodge slightly, have the before, after. So that's that for the global dodge and burn. Once I'm done with global dodge, so once I'm done with global dodge and burn, the next thing I would want to do is to add contrast to the image. And one way to go about this, or the way I go about it, is I click on my black and white adjustments, I change it to soft lights, and I'm going to try to take it out from the blacks. So I double click on this empty parts, and then it opens this layer style, and then I hold alternate and drag out just the half part of this, not the entire stuff. Drag it out completely. This just takes the adjustment out of the blacks, like the effect out of the blacks. So we have before and after. The effect is a bit too much. I can reduce the opacity to match my taste. So we know contrast is all about adding more blacks to the already dark areas and then adding lights or brightness to the already bright areas. That's what contrast does. It just helps to make the image stand out, give it this little depth. So once I am done with that, next thing I would want to do is to fix or match the skin color. So one way I go about that is I open an empty layer, change the mode to color, take brush, normal brush on my tools, and then I hold alternate to select the part of the skin I like, the part of the skin I want to paint everywhere. I want everywhere to look like. So if I like this, I hold alternate, select it, and then with my brush, I paint on the image. I simply brush on it. So I'll do it carefully to ensure I'm not painting on areas I'm not supposed to, like the jewelry. Then I'm going to paint on the neck. Then I would also ensure I'm not painting on areas that has a different color, maybe from the makeup artist. So these areas like this eyelid, I'm not going to paint on it because I do not want to change or match those areas to any part of the skin. How they look, the color they came with is perfect. I'm not going to brush on the lips because I do not want to change it. So I would ensure I'll try as much as possible not to brush on the hair so as not to change the hair color. So I'll brush on the hand. So but in situations where you're not sure if you brushed on the hair, you can simply double click on it. It opens the layer style and then you take it out from the blacks and click OK. So what I want to do next is to add a little bit of blur to it. Come to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I can leave it at radius 5. So I would always ensure I brushed on every part that needs to be brushed, that I want to match the colors. And then I can, okay, let me just show you what it has done. Have before and after, before and after. So the effect is not that drastic, but it's just there. So I can even decide to reduce the opacity in situations where it is too much. I can reduce the opacity, but for this, it is not too much. I can live with that. Let me see. 82 works for me. Let me leave it at 89. So I'll before after. So after this, the next thing I'm going to do is to whiten the eye. So how do I go about this? I'm simply going to click on brightness, brighten the image slightly. I'm going to click on vibrance, then take down the saturation, desaturate it a bit, then photo filter. Then I'm going to change the filter to cooling filter. So once I have these three adjustments, I'm going to select them and group them by pressing Ctrl G or Command G on Mac. And then I'm going to put a black marks on it. Hold alternate and click on marks. Then there's a black marks on it. So all I'm going to do now is to take my normal brush, a white brush, and then paint on the eye. So we have the before and after. So if the intensity is too much, I can reduce the opacity. Reduce the opacity. So something else or a bonus tip, I can decide to pop the colors of the eyelid. So how do I go about that? All I have to do is click on brightness, add a little bit of contrast. I'm going to click on vibrance and then add vibrance. So I'm going to group these two. Select Ctrl G, and then I'm going to put a black marks on it. So I'm going to take my brush and then paint on the eyelid just to make the colors there up a bit more. If I feel it is too much, I can always reduce opacity. So we have the before and after. So let me name it eyelid pop, eyelid pop. Then okay, let me name this to eye whitening. So after this, the next thing I'm going to do is to try to color grade. So I'm hoping to achieve, or I'm looking at achieving, a dark skin tone. So what I'm going to do is to come to my adjustments, come to this point and click on this down arrow and select gradient map. So once I select gradient map, this is what it's going to give me. I'm going to click on reverse. Once I click on reverse, it is going to turn this way. So I would come to my blend mode and change it to soft light. So it's already giving it this dark feel. So but I'm going to reduce the opacity. I'm going to reduce the opacity to match what I want, to match my taste. It's still a bit too much. So we're going to reduce it. So I think I like it looking this way. So we have it before and after. So the next thing I'm going to do is to add a photo filter. I'm going to add a blue photo filter to the image. So but I'm going to reduce the density and then reduce the opacity. Reduce the opacity. So I can add vibrance now to the image just to pop it a bit. Click on vibrance and add vibrance to this level. So I think I like how this looks. Can reduce the vibrance slightly. So we have the gradient map. I can even take down this gradient map a bit. 24. Okay. So we have the gradient map, we have the photo filter, and we have the vibrance. So we have the image starting from this point to this point. So from this down to this. So let's just quickly run through it. So we have this first layer, we did frequency separation, we did the micro dodge and burn, we did the global dodge and burn, and then we also did the black and white adding of contrast and the color fix. So let me name it skin color fix. And then we have the eye whitening. Then we moved over to the eyelid pop. Then we did our little color gradient map, photo filter, and then a little bit of vibrance to the image. So we have this. So you can see the image is looking really nice, and then we can see the textures are still there. The highlights, the contour, everything is still looking intact. So once you're done with this, you can decide to sharpen the image. There's an action in beauty retouch. This triangular shape is the sharpening tool. You click on it to sharpen. So it just takes a few seconds to apply. When you zoom in, you see how it is. If the intensity is too much, you can reduce the opacity. Bring down the opacity slightly. And once you're done with this, the next thing you have to do is just to save the image. So in order to save, you press Ctrl Shift Alternate S on your keyboard, which is to save for web. Ctrl Shift Alternate S to save for web. Make sure it's on JPEG. Select the quality you want. You can go as much as 100. So but I always work with between 75 to 90. And then once you've gotten this, you can just press save. So these are the settings I use. I always leave my settings this way. I do not change it. You press save, and then it will ask you where you want to save it to, and you can actually press save for it to save to that location you've selected. So once you've done this, you have your image looking this nice. And there you have it. Now you know how to create stunning high-end skin retouching from Capture One to Photoshop. If you got value, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave your questions in the comment section to let us know your thoughts and we'll attend to them. Let us keep building this community of creative minds. Remember, when it comes to retouching, less is more. See you in the next video.